copy very layer by layer, layer by layer. Yeah.
Yeah, there are kind of conversion tools programs out there. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it's recently, yeah.
They have third party.
I was using it as something I'm doing, but yeah, and so I have to look at, these are all specifically compiled to run with the, what they call them, the neural chip.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we've got all the major models, you know, they only handle the 7 billion parameters, but.
Because of the family added.
Yeah, and I don't remember how much this, the 15 trail, I don't know how much that but you can run, I mean, the fact that the 7 billion parameter model runs on the phone is great. Yeah, I'll have to call that for sure. It runs pretty well. The 17 billion on, this has got 64 gigs and it works well. Not as much better. It's pretty good though. The speed is not terrible. It's not, you know, I'm sure it's nowhere near the 7 speed, but.
Have you like the WhatsApp? Meetup? Have you seen the WhatsApp? Yeah. There is my idea. Yeah, I've seen the bot. Yeah, WhatsApp bot. Yeah, WhatsApp bot.
Yeah, I mean, that is what the trying to incorporate that into everything, right?
Yeah.
I haven't played around with the WhatsApp one.
Is it running Meetup? No. Yeah.
They can't,
but they have,
data.
I'm sure they have the same network optimization. Yeah, but
they also don't send it along with it.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, part of it.
And it's like, yeah. And it doesn't really
I mean, they're,
Yeah, all the way.
they get the data. That's what matters about. Yep. Now it's that's why I try not to use WhatsApp, but now it's like you can't hide from stuff forever.
Yeah,
So. Yeah. But they can,
most of them are currently using the very big companies. That's not for business. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the key part.
you're doing software stuff.
Yeah.
There was the guy who said some of the meetup here.
Yeah, he works at Florida.
Yeah, it's really on now. Is that the different name?
Stack is they got crushed, Argo and crushed.
Yeah.
Same team founded Stack is.
See the.
This is for.
I
I don't know about Jason particularly, but I know about Argo. What happened with them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they lost the deal with Ford.
He's a pilot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I might have heard about last week, but yeah. But Argo is like Argo AI didn't get the continued investment from Ford because they had differences in the vision. I don't know.
They used to have Waymo, Cruise, everything. Waymo is still here, but you can't get rides.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But you used to get Cruise rides. Yeah, I have. It was what? Yeah. I did it probably 3 or 4 times.
No, I just saw your page that you were working on. But I just nothing about I want that in the hackathon to be run.
Yeah. Awesome. I have no idea. Is that just built? What company is associated with it?
because I am an immigrant, and I'm waiting for
In
my
the
green card.
Austin area, the broader, the greater Texas
But
area.
apart from that, also
Self-driving cars.
Yeah, a little bit of time before I can jump into the picture, but I'm open to ideas. I work in a lot of startups. Yeah, but no, I'm very experienced for remote. And yeah, we have demos, full demos, so from designer to PhD, NFTs. Gonna talk about like all these tools, based training these large language models on practice, right? So yeah, things like that.
Yeah, well, that's
Tap
basically.
water.
Yeah. Cool. I just, Sandra, Eric, Andrew there, and over there, there's Joe. Too, so, the reason about Jason Yoshi is so Latitude's the company, he's, former, Apple, Google, Facebook, he was at Argo, and now is over at, Latitude, but he was trying to build kind of a self-driving, and he's trying to cost more self-driving destination. He also has some podcasts. He wrote that. Cruise was here. They've suspended everything. I think they're just starting in Seattle. I think they're starting driving up. I'm not sure.
And there's another one that's in downtown.
Oh, there's Volkswagen ones. They moved in the old Argo space. So Argo had a spot on 7th, and there's like 7th in the Shady Lane area, and it's on the east side. So yeah, it's out of side of the highway, but not very far. But yeah, whatever. I don't know what Volkswagen is calling. But they moved into that space.
Our company Ford is 49% owned by Mercedes. We have partnership with Waymo, but kind of do along it some point. But yeah, you're also you're not in downtown, you're in Dominican.
Right here.
And our business model is also different. We work only around semi-trucks. Yeah, that is there. I think they're in Palo Alto or Cat Mountain. Oh yeah. Yeah, I interviewed there. I didn't get it.
Are you working on a particular? So you have the partnership. Yeah. So are you working with the partnership?
Not cars, trucks. Yeah. So yeah, we are there. Self-driving providers for the trucks.
Cool.
Yeah.
But the trucks are there, so.
Trucks are huge because the business model is there. There's a huge shortage of truck drivers. Yeah, we need self-driving.
So what did you say you began?
I worked on the core machine learning platform and deployment platform. So deployment because we have to optimize the models for target hardware, embedded machines. We have NVIDIA chips, we are also exploring other GPUs. But I also work with predominantly with machine learning training packages on the cloud. We have our own wrapper that we write on top of PyTorch. We call it PyTorch. But yeah, it has a lot of different components, things like that.
Dog loves to things with
Yeah. I'm a customer engineer. I support how do they hire it?
Yeah, that's a trend for sure. No, it's awesome. Yeah, Eric, nice to meet you.
So I work as a data scientist for this people usually I'm not sure. Sorry?
Yeah.
They're in South West. Oh, and they're not based in Austin at all. They had a pretty sizable base every year. Oh, yeah, because they're mostly based out of New Jersey. So I work remotely. I'm in the imaging tech development kind of thing. So using clinical basically CT scans and identification of tumors, prediction of which drugs detection.
No beer, there's nothing.
Just kidding, just kidding. I'm joking. It's okay. I'm not even buy my own beer.
Tabular data. So it's multi-modal in the sense that tabular along the images. Now and then now we have reports, reports, so now it's combining. It's getting more and more multimodal to be able to do because images are just not to be able to prediction or good I have two other what about you?
I run a solutions architecture team. My company other things, licenses,
Yeah, so this is every second Thursday.
So all industries are
typically they have
during my master's,
Somebody way up
extensive data set, right? Like, generative data takes like $100 million to scan, like, investigative CT scanner on my scanner, and then you pay a radiologist $300 to identify stuff per scan. So each data set is, when you scan out like hundreds of thousands.
Wow, that big?
Not
Excellent.
that big, yeah, not that big. Yeah,
When it dropped below 100, I think I'm a different
way around it. I mean, the synthetic data, like in the healthcare space, I know that training on synthetic data is not proven to be very valuable.
The problem is, and I have answers from both synthetic data and calculated data. We were working on it, but synthetic synthetic data is very, very fast. And the problem would be that there are built-in biases to any distribution of images you have from a clinical trial. Because people have been recruited based on a certain answer, they must have been the model. So how do you want to contain so what is the so that's from image
almost by standards, by relative terms, by logic,
and mine might have from it might not even have the same if one time I was collecting hemoglobin count, but other time I was collecting hemoglobin count and something else, and that's something which is same. So like the question is like, can I
all of you guys know. On the other hand, but on the other hand, you pay for my retirement.
I don't know they do a lot of synthetic representation for tasks like this. And like we are kind of interested, or I am interested in how that makes someone to see if any of our use cases fit. But I doubt it because by definition to generate synthetic data, you need to be able to model the data very, very well. Because it's actual patient data, right? If a patient has some demographic data, age, sex, or something, that determines what kind of cancer they have, right? So you can't just generate from a distribution considering all the data. So I don't know how they handle it, but they can be able to make calculate it. But that's the law.
Yeah, well, you already have access to the actual data. So the only use case I've heard in the healthcare space for synthetic data with values is when you want to utilize data in a non-broad context. So you want to be able to use something that at least resembles real data, but it's all about manipulating as opposed to
directly to the central site. So what you do is you use the distribution to generate statements for the value transfer. So you are able to leverage file elements, but not actually transfer message. So you are not anonymizing, but completely different. You have those like this person does not exist and there's a case. This is like this person does not exist and there's a tabular feature.
Exactly, yeah.
But faces are easy to see whether it's true or not. Numbers are not, right? Because you don't even know what the inherent coordinations are.
Yeah, and with that synthetic generation, you know, it's you don't know what you're massing, what you're missing, based off,
I will tell you the hardest thing in this. Because the AI so you actually go, I think generate demographic from my particular you can see everybody, the outcome is determined by what drug a person is taking. That's the
model that can
predictive model.
Exactly.
Given this patient, this person is going to live for 24 years. 23 years, so that's a fundamental predictive problem. So I can't just generate the outcome. So there's a lot of optics. So there are these challenges.
Yeah.
What the heck am I doing? Imagine me, and I move to my it's like, oh my God. This is great, because
whoever wants to go first, I think you can generate if you want. Yeah, definitely. So let's go for it. I think, yeah,
Sure.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello? Hello, hello. All right. Okay. Let's go, guys. Hey, hello, everyone. Do you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi everyone, welcome to AI Tinkerers. If this is your first time, yeah, please take a seat. Grab a drink. We have some drinks over there. And we'll just get started with the demos today. We do have some demos. We have 3 demos today who volunteered in the last minute. So thank you very much for our community. And usually we have a big group, maybe because I sent out an email saying we don't have many demos. There's not a lot of turn up. But yeah, thanks for showing up. And yeah, enjoy the ride. We have really cool things about new advancements. So Santosh is going to talk about is your name Santosh? Yeah. Santosh is going to talk about how to train an LLM on a single GPU on your laptop. So that'll be very exciting. And Marat is going to talk about some thoughts on the evolution of search. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, guys. So this is probably not the typical demo that you would expect. It's a little bit, you know, I'm not a technical person. But I thought it'd be really interesting for us maybe to think about as a thought starter of sorts. So hello, my name is Murat. I'm the VP of Growth and Innovation at Ziff Davis. So Ziff Davis is a digital media company based out of New York. We own and operate a lot of digital media brands. So you know, PC Mag, IGN, which the logo of which you see here. Just 3 days ago, we announced an acquisition. We acquired CNET, RetailMeNot, Offers.com. Just it's a vertically integrated digital media company, and so obviously AI is and the impact of AI on search more specifically is more or less existential for us, right? So in the sense that if you think about the value exchange model and the way that it's existed for a long time, for the last 20 years, you know, for media companies, the content companies, it's been Google crawls our content, right? They crawl it for free. They index, crawl it, rank it for free. They send us referral traffic for free, and then we monetize that traffic. So that relationship has been in sort of equilibrium for a long time. Now, you know, what we're dealing with now is sort of this this prospect of that model changing quite drastically, right? With the introduction of obviously OpenAI, right? And OpenAI has, and recently, I think last week, they launched Search GPT. And so if you think about the model, it's changing from sort of this search to actively getting users to the answers quickly as we can, right? Without you needing to click on the results and without you needing to visit all of these sites. So this, so I'm going to talk about the sort of the RAG framework, right? The retrieval augmented generation. I'm probably not the most qualified in the room to talk about the RAG framework. Probably some folks can give a much better presentation on this. But I think in order to understand sort of where we are and the implications, we need to understand sort of the behind the scenes. So how many of you have obviously seen like AI reviews? And just a raise of hands. Have you probably, most folks have seen these AI reviews in search. Thank you, Google. And I mean, most of you probably have wondered how to turn them off, right? Like, I don't know how useful or how helpful you find them to be. Maybe a thumbs up if you like them, thumbs down if you hate them. What do you guys think? Thumbs up, really? Thumbs down? So kind of in between? Yeah, so the room is kind of split, you know. It depends on the search too, like what kind of query. So I used a couple examples here. One of the brands that we own is IGN. It's a gaming review site and all of that. So you can see I'm typing in how many shrines in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Right, so typical search, it's one of our actually more popular searches. And Google is summarizing the answers. And obviously you can see here the reference to IGN and Polygon, but the answers are now summarized. Google's taken data from sites like IGN and Polygon, and they're simply answering the query for the user right away. And there are a couple of different examples from Diablo, where to buy, so on and so forth. So that's essentially, you know, what we're talking about when I say AI overviews. Now, the way sort of that it works currently is it's using sort of this RAG framework, right? The retrieval augmented generation framework. And what happens, the way that I understand it, at least under the hood, is the user submits a query. You know, what happens is Google then retrieves and pre-processes external data, right? The retrieval process. So that external data could be external data sources, such as web pages, knowledge bases, databases, so on and so forth. You know, the RAGs leverage vector databases, they efficiently retrieve relevant documents, so on and so forth. After that, the pre-processed retrieved information is incorporated in the pre-trained LLM. Right, so this integration enhances LLM's context, providing it with more comprehensive understanding. And then finally, at the very last final stage, the answer or the response is rendered. And the rendering could be there's many form factors. It could be rendered in a search page. It could be rendered through, you know, a voice output of some sort. So there's various ways by which Google, Bing, Apple, OpenAI can render the output. So if we break this down a little bit more, and this is where I think, from my perspective, I think Google has got a fairly, I don't want to say unfair advantage, but if you look at the augmentation at each step, and this is a general flow of how it works. So I'm just going to quickly take you through it, right? A user submits a query. Let's imagine this query could be, well, I don't know, best sushi restaurants in Austin, right? Google then goes and retrieves relevant documents from their index or some other database that they have access to. What they do next is they generate a response, or a prompt rather, on our behalf, on the user's behalf. So this prompt could be in the context of query. The query is best sushi restaurant, summarize content A, B, C, and D. So this content is coming from their index, their index of web pages that they've stored. They generate a revised prompt, potentially. So this revised prompt is, and well, I guess I'll take you through the augmentation steps, because I think the augmentation steps are really important, and they speak to really this advantage I think that Google has with this access to user information. When they retrieve relevant documents, those documents are selected based on these augmentation criteria here. There's 3 augmentation criteria. There's query-dependent measures, query-independent, and user-dependent measures. So query-dependent measures, you might imagine what those to be are. If I'm typing in best sushi restaurant and Google knows that I'm in Austin, Texas, they're going to retrieve documents that are localized, right? So you might imagine, you know, a local Yelp result or a result from a local blogger that has reviewed a bunch of sushi restaurants. So they're localizing those queries. They're also looking at language, you know, whether I'm using a certain language of sorts. Query independent measures, that augmentation criteria or factor is really interesting because it's query independent in the sense that it doesn't necessarily matter where the user is located, what language the user is using, so on and so forth. What they look at is how is the source that I'm retrieving this data from, is that source authoritative? Is it trustworthy? They use a couple of different criteria, and they generally call this criteria EAT, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness of a particular source or document. And then user-dependent measures are quite interesting. I mean, Google has a lot of information on the users through your browsing history, right? Chrome. They collect a lot of information based on clickstream data, what sites you visited in the past, what things you've clicked on. You even collect data on how you interact with results, right? So whether you hover over certain things, whether you highlight certain things, there's all of these interaction data that they collect about the user in order to essentially, you know, show you a much better, more relevant result. Do I have time for questions? I don't know if should I? Yeah, go ahead, please.
So for user-dependent measures, this is like one-to-one profile of you and what you did on Chrome, sitting somewhere in their database. And
Correct. That's my understanding, yes. So that's the augmentation process. And you can imagine Google, obviously, with Chrome having such a high market share, and just Google, is 90% of the search market. They have a lot more information on the user, right? So they can personalize the results a lot better than Bing or somebody else can, because they have a lot more information on the user. They know your likes and interests and your past search history. When they generate a prompt, the interesting thing that happens within the augmentation step is when they generate a prompt, they actually look at user familiarity and user interactions, right? So the prompt that they generate can be revised based on how familiar a user is with a certain topic or subject matter, and whether or not the user has interacted with the AI review and how they've interacted with it. So if you can imagine the initial prompt in the context of, let's say, best sushi restaurant, summarize content from A, B, C, and D, the revised could be, assuming the user is familiar with so-and-so restaurants, assuming they've already interacted with the results and they're looking for something else. They're looking, for example, for restaurants that are maybe closer to them or in a certain location. Go ahead and revise the prompt and return a much more personalized result for that specific user. The response is then generated. You could also revise the generated prompt, and essentially the response is rendered. So from a general flow, at least my understanding is this is how essentially the AI summaries work currently under this RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation framework.
Murat,
Yeah.
so is the last step what's different? Obviously using the word prompt many times, but the process when you do regular search versus AI search, is it very similar and only around the things that related to prompt and LLM that are different? Meaning, like, for example,
Yeah.
the query dependency, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. The retrieval, so this is, you could think about this as the regular search. This is where the last 20 years of where Google has innovated in terms of being able to crawl, ingest, index, and then rank results based on things like nav boost, personalization, and things like. This is where the retrieval of documents is what you might think of as the regular sort of search that Google has done for many, many years. And essentially what's new here is the generation of prompts, right, that Google does on our behalf. And what's interesting is when these prompts are generated, they can also be augmented by looking at familiarity, user interactions, and other query-dependent, independent measures. So I think that's where, it's hard for Bing, it's hard for OpenAI, it's even hard for other platforms to replicate or generate a much better response, a response that's a lot more personalized because Google has a lot more information on the user, their search and interests and likes. Yep.
I think, yeah, the personalization aspect
Sure.
is helpful, but I found that Perplexity is doing this answering questions aspect, like, just that better than Google at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely arguments that could be made for, how trustworthy is the generated response, right? Can you trust it? What sources are being cited? What sources are being used? Yeah, I mean, that's all for debate, I feel like. I think the interesting part for me personally is the personalization aspect, like you said, right? I think that's where Google certainly has a leg up. I mean, we could skip this. It's a lot of the same. But in terms of this slide is really interesting. I think when we think about the impact on media companies, when we think about the impact on so CTR is click-through rates, right? So it's a simple ratio of clicks to impressions. So, Google can show a web page, a number of times, but doesn't mean that people actually click on it, right? So click-through rate is a simple ratio of clicks to impressions. And what's interesting is that the impact is, what Google has said publicly is that, we've actually seen an increase in click-through rates for sites that are being featured in AI overviews, right? And that might be true in some cases, sure, but the industry, the media industry is quite concerned for all the right reasons because they don't quite understand what the impacts are. What we've actually seen and observed, this is our own data, this is from IGN. And IGN has a large wiki section, millions of pages that have guides around various games, Breath of the Wild and Elden Rings. And what this is what we're showing a couple of months of click-through rate data and how it's trended over time. And what's interesting is that right here, this is when Google launched AI overviews. I think it was May 14th or May 14th is when they launched initially the AI overviews. And we saw an almost immediate impact on our click-through rates. And they dropped off by 18%. And I think what happened over the next couple of days is a lot of the AI reviews that they were generating were essentially off and wrong, and there's a lot of misinformation. I think it was something about glue on a pizza. I don't know if you guys seen that. So things like that. And so they got a lot of bad press and bad media. So what they did is they rolled back AI reviews, I believe, around May 26th, and we saw a slight recovery in click-through rates. And you know, all that to say, I think we're in a very interesting environment right now, where, you know, Google is now officially a monopoly, right? Which means that the $20 billion that they share with Apple, that's potentially going away. That's on the table. And so the way that Google has kept its sort of market share is through these distribution deals, right? Apple, Android phone manufacturers, so on and so forth. And now, I don't know how you feel, but you can make an argument for the fact that, look, OpenAI potentially could provide a much better search experience, right? Than what Google can. And so for media companies, the big question, the big question mark right now is, well, how do we react? Because if the model for a long time has been, you know, Google crawls our content, sends us free traffic, we monetize that traffic either through ads, affiliates, subscriptions, and so on and so forth. Well, if this model is changing, right? If the model is changing, if now the model is you can crawl and index our content, but you don't send us traffic. Instead, perhaps there's some sort of a licensing deal where we directly feed content, you know, to OpenAI and Google. Like, what does that mean from a monetization standpoint? What does that mean for content providers? What does that mean for the media industry more broadly and generally? And so these are sort of the questions that we're wrestling with. And, you know, I don't have anything to demo, but just wanted to maybe get some thoughts and get some ideas and just have this as a thought starter and a conversation starter, more or less. But yeah, that's my presentation, and that's about it. Thank you. All right.
So I have a question. So
Yeah.
when you said Google rolled back AI overviews,
Mm-hmm.
did they completely take that feature off, or is it
They just scaled it back. So I think they were showing it across about 13% of the queries that they see initially when they rolled it out. They scaled it back to about, right now it's what we're seeing from our own data, about 6 to 8% of the queries actually have an AI overview. So they scaled it back. Yeah, but not to say that that's, you know, the other interesting part is Google has always kind of served two masters, right? So you have obviously the stakeholders, the media companies, the businesses, and you have the users. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Google is a business. They have users. They have to make that product as good for the users as they possibly can. And what the users want in a lot of cases is a direct answer, right? If you type in, hey, what is the weather today? You don't want to go to weather.com and go through a bunch of links to find your answer. You just want that answer right there and right away. Weather.com is not happy about it, right? But hey, the users love it. It's a great feature. And so that's also the interesting sort of, they have to thread the needle there very carefully. And so the fact that OpenAI, I mean, Google invented the transformers, right? I mean, a lot of the innovation happened and came from Google. I think it's a very classic sort of innovator's dilemma scenario where, you know, they're disrupted by the fact that search generates the vast majority of, you know, that's where the revenues come from. So it doesn't make sense for them to disrupt themselves, right? And it's just classic innovator's dilemma. And so that opened up an opportunity for OpenAI and others to innovate and come in. And so it's interesting. I think there's going to be a lot more innovation. Competition is welcome. I'm personally happy for it. You know, so.
Yeah. So one odd observation about my behavior, which I found myself, like, if I'm doing a search about something, let's call it deep, like where does this come from, what papers are available, etc., I default to ChatGPT.
Sure. Yeah.
If utilitarian, I do Google and I don't use AI.
Yeah.
Even when it's not, I revert it back. So I think it's the right, and this is not implying anything on the quality of Google AI. It just start with a ChatGPT and don't feel compelled to try something else. But it seems like there's a light tool, like for fast and easy answers, immediate and important, but immediate and easy. and there's the researchy type. If you want to do research something deeper, I think
Yeah.
the LLM tool would do that. I think LLM is overkill, it seems to me, for, and not as far as generating the answer, but the type of answer they end up to give. I don't want to read a
Sure.
or a page about something.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think you also have to consider the categories of searching, right? There's informational needs, transactional, navigational. It's funny because a lot of transactional queries now start and begin on Amazon. 60% of transactional queries, like best running shoes, people actually go to Amazon to start that query there. They don't go to Google anymore. They bypass Google, right? And so that's why Google's pushing a lot of the shopping verticals and all those results. And it's eating into their market share, obviously, within that specific query category. For technical needs, you might, I don't know, how many of you visit Stack Overflow anymore? You just go straight to ChatGPT or?
No, ChatGPT steals from Stack.
Sure, but I mean, yeah, much better experience, right? Yeah.
It's funny sometimes you find exact word-by-word quote from Stackflow.
Yeah, sure. And so Google might be great as a general search engine if you have very general, broad informational needs. That might still be sort of the use case for it, right? But who knows? Like, it's still up. It's to be seen how it changes, how it progresses. Yeah, I mean, I think if you listen to a lot of the statements that they've made over the years, I mean, what they want to do is become very much a personal assistant of sorts. Right? It's this whole concept of, helping you search before you even search it. Become your personal assistant. And in a lot of ways, I think OpenAI is sort of doing that. In a lot of ways, Google, the first manifestation of that, I don't know if you guys remember the search, what do you call that? When you type something in and they finish the query for you, the autocomplete, right? That was the first manifestation of, if you hear Amit Singhal talk about it, he said, ultimately that's where Google wants to get to, is become the personal search assistants, the everyday search assistant, and so the product team went in that direction. Yeah, I don't know if they've achieved that goal necessarily, or if they are going to get there at some point. It's to be seen. Yeah.
So it sounds like your problem here is that by allowing Google to read and summarize the content, you're missing out on traffic and presumably ad revenue or other sorts of revenue sources.
Yeah.
You could at least try to block it using like a robust.txt type thing. I know that
We do currently. We block ChatGPT and other. Yeah, we block a lot of them currently. I think for us, I've been trying to push the company in a completely different direction, because a lot of media companies, so Vox, Associated Press, Dotdash Meredith, they've all joined. OpenAI has a program called PPP. It's Preferred Publisher Program. And this is where they essentially license content from these media providers and pay them a licensing fee for that content. And so Ziff Davis has been sort of a holdout. We're on the opposite. I think we're initially sued OpenAI, along with the New York Times, for crawling our content. And so my push within the company has been, this is a kind of a losing battle. Like, the train's left the station. We're either on it or not. And so, so for us, it's at least my argument internally has been, let's not do that. Let's figure out a way to work with OpenAI and others and move forward. So
I guess that's the kind of the question I had was, by disallowing, you might have some unique content, but for example, how many shrines of Breath of the Wild are available on other sites too, and so you're not preventing that content from showing up, getting an answer, and then losing the revenue of it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. It sounds like you have. I'm not familiar with this, but there is some sort of rev share type of thing that, or licensing of content that you're working with Google for.
Currently, no. So.
It exists somewhere.
No. OpenAI, yeah. So that's what we're working towards eventually. I think us being a publicly traded company, we have to be really careful about how we disclose and what we say. I mean, it's funny, during our Q2 quarterly call, out of the 40 questions that we got from institutional investors, 25, and I counted 25 of the 40 were about what are you doing about AI and OpenAI and all of that stuff? So it's certainly on the minds. I think what's interesting about OpenAI, Google, and whatever else, from a RAG framework standpoint, what's interesting is that they've ingested the web, like they've crawled the content. The difficult part for them is real-time access to quality, authoritative, trustworthy content in real time. So let's say something right now happened outside of this office building, right? Some terrible car crash, and a local news reporter reported on it. Imagine you go into OpenAI and you search for that event. You're probably not going to get anything relevant, right? And so Google will, because Google has Google News, they've ingested that content. So the issue with OpenAI, I think where the reason for PPP, where they want to get to, is they want to have a direct pipe, a direct feed of real-time and up-to-date information, right? So that's the key there. And so that's the kind of the chicken and the egg problem that they're dealing with right now. Without that, then their search engine is going to be very much kind of a passive search engine. It won't have a lot of updated, up-to-date information the users can trust. So, yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry, I came in late. This question is still relevant. So between OpenAI and Gemini, you could say, so in terms of more domain specialized knowledge, for example, chemical related, because my startup is building a PFAS chemical related software. So for those domain knowledge specific information, would ChatGPT be better than Gemini, Vertex AI? So that's some of the analysis I saw or I read online.
In terms of which LLM model is better or not, I mean, that's a great question that I'm probably not qualified to answer, to be quite honest with you. I know there's benchmark tests that they all do. So.
GPT has this ChatGPT store where you have fine-tuned models specific to specific domains by the community.
Oh, okay.
And also you can pay, I think, $2 million or plus to let ChatGPT train on your databases not train, but fine-tune for your specific startup or something, which could be an option that you want to pursue. And it's way better than spinning up your own team, spinning up your own infrastructure. It's going to be much more than what $2 million is going to do right here.
But you can start with your own benchmark. Very simple benchmarks.
So like
Meaning you state your, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, but I mean define your problems, run them on both models, and do a comparison of what you see. It may be self-evident that one is superior, or maybe they're so close that it's irrelevant. But you can do that very cheaply and very fast.
Yeah. And we're still in very early stage. Only have the WAF and so infrastructure is not yet there.
You don't need infrastructure. You need a laptop and like to one and like the other. And you can do the exercise in 2 hours.
But thank you for the information.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, please. And you can fine tune Gemini and all the different ones as well. If you have the data to do them.
Go ahead.
The data that happens that is analytics,
Yeah.
is it any independent research or proprietary?
Oh, this is I pulled this directly from.
So not the files, you are studying the yeah, click to the rates, 6, 7, 8, 6, 8.
Oh, this one here.
Sorry, is it internal data or independent?
Sorry.
Is it internal data or independent data? Or
This isn't. Yeah, this is internal data. Yeah, this is our own data, first-party data. This is actually, it comes from Google Search Console. Is a tool that is an industry standard tool. It's coming from Google directly. They give us information on how many impressions we've gotten on Google search, how many clicks, and then obviously average positions and all of that. So yeah, it's first-party data. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay, now Santosh will give us a demonstration on how to train on very minimal or fraction of a cost to train your own LLM. Do you want to connect or? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Santosh. I recently graduated with a PhD. Oh, okay. Is it now? Okay, sorry. I I recently graduated with a PhD in AI and I'm doing a postdoc on NLP. Probably my talk is a little radical in the sense that if any of you don't want to use ChatGPT or you want to create your own LLM and you have $500, you can train your own LLM, deploy it in your own PC, and that's what I'm going to explain and how easy it is to train, deploy. With a little bit, there are little technicalities involved, but the resources are available in such a way that even a noob can get started with things. So it might become a little technical, but I want to keep it as simple as possible. So
Is your mic on? The mic on?
Is it green?
it's green, but am I audible? Oh, okay. Sorry. So Common Crawl is an organization that scrapes internet data. It has. Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, can you? Absolutely not. How about now?
No, shout a little bit. Shout, forget about the mic. Shout a little bit.
Hello. Is it fine now?
No, louder.
Hello. Yeah. Super close. How about now? Oh, thank you. So it's an org that keeps on scraping internet data. It currently has over 250 billion web pages spanning over past 17 years. It's called Common Crawl Datasets or C4 dataset. And every year, it gets updated each month. But we can take a good snapshot of this dataset and train our own language model. So it's completely available for free on Hugging Face. So what it is, basically, it takes the web data and cleans up all the HTML tags, and you only have the body or the paragraphs available. And the way it looks, it's basically a 250 to approximately 250 GB of internet snapshot. It has a lot more, so it has approximately 10 billion URLs. So the way I can show you how it looks is basically, so the rows are basically URL and the data in that URL. So we have this data set available. It's approximately like 256 GB. And then I'll show you a very a simple source code that anyone can use. It's available here. This is a paper that's written by a graduate student at UT. You can take Common Crawl dataset, which has 256 GB of internet snapshot, and you can buy 4060 Ti. I believe it costs roughly $500, and it has only 16 GB of RAM. And the complete training process takes around 4 days. And you can fit, so since it only has 16 GB RAM, you can fit up to 7 billion parameters. It's pretty decent. And I'll show you the running stats. It's basically, sure, sorry. RAM.
Is it VRAM?
Yeah, 16 GB VRAM, that's all is needed, yeah.
So this is, are you talking about Google Colab?
No, this is GPU. Yeah, 4060 has 6, that's all. Yeah, NVIDIA 4060. you download the data, basically you download the data set, which is about 256 GB. I'll show you the source code which everyone can use. And currently I trained this for, sorry.
Was it compatible with the Mac Silicon?
No, 4060 Ti is NVIDIA GPU. No. So,
CUDA device.
sorry.
No, maybe
Same
from
device.
an eGPU to Mac, maybe. Yeah, we might need drivers, but I'm not sure.
These might become pretty technical, but you can roughly see that the model has been trained on 425 million tokens. So each token can be think of as a word. So very roughly, one can think of ChatGPT or a language model is a next word predictor. So I give a prompt and predicts what's the next word. And it performs iteratively to generate a response. So mathematically, in a very simplistic term, given a prompt, it predicts the next paragraph. So you're writing a paragraph, you gave the first one line, and it predicts the rest of the words that follow up. That's basically a language model in technical terms. That's what they build it. Sorry. No, it's very, very roughly, let's say you ask, like, my name is Santosh. So if I literally train only on the data that says my name is Santosh, when you give my name, it fills in my name is Santosh. So it's what happens under the hood is ChatGPT kind of gives a false opinion of what is happening. So the model actually generates one word at a time. It's not generating the complete answer. So when we give a prompt, currently, it generates, let's say we ask like, what's the capital of Texas? Then it generates, let's say capital of Texas is Austin. So the way it gets generated is capital of Texas is Austin. So it learns from the previous context and it fills in. And it also uses, it builds up slowly and generates the response. That's yeah, if you use a BERT, it's bidirectional. If you just use GPT, it's just unidirectional. Yeah, we can, that's it. But when we are asking, and because of the GUI, it gives a false impression that, oh yeah, I'm giving an answer prompt and I'm getting a response. It actually generates one word at a time. And if you have a slow compute, it takes slower time to response. That, in a naive sense, that's what a language model is. It learns from the large corpus of data. It just basically learns the relationship with the past sentences. So you can literally train and take the internet snapshot or your own data, use the source code that's available here, and you can pretty much just launch it and wait for 4 days. After 4 days, it typically stops on a NVIDIA 4060 Ti GPU. And within 4 days, you have Llama 7B available for you and all yours.
So, quick question. So what are the key innovations that enable this?
Oh, okay. Sure. It's all about how you represent numbers. So if it...
You can go to technical also, like
Okay.
activation functions.
Oh no, there is nothing. Everything in the Llama architecture remains the same. The only thing that changes is the number of bits you assign for each parameter. That's it. That significantly reduces.
So it's just pure quantization.
It's pure quantization in the training phases.
So quantization away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's de facto quantized training.
Okay. So you're training in the quantized world.
Yes. It's not post quantization,
Do they
so you don't.
contain any benchmarks?
It turns out it doesn't.
Oh, wow.
So this is a very interesting work. You can try out and give it a shot. And then you can also, okay, this is pre-training. The moment you start fine-tuning it, your accuracy keeps on increasing. Because you're first training a language model on the large corpus of data. It learns hypothetically general knowledge. It doesn't learn any specific knowledge about any domain. And then you fine-tune it with your own domain knowledge. The performance improves, and you keep on fine-tuning it. But good thing is, this is, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of Google or like the big companies. So you can do it on your own and keep your own model and use it. So you, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So 2 questions, one on the data and another one on
Right.
the architecture. So there are other, so common call is great because it's available. In
Sure, absolutely.
But it's also really, really messy, right? So
Yeah,
there are much cleaner.
Absolutely, yeah, you can go for it. Yeah.
People might get more, let's say, training out of, right? Because common call has.
Absolutely, yeah, you're spot on. Yeah.
Let's say find them or
Yes,
find,
sure.
find where
It-
you
it really-
that.
it-
Or was there any reason to?
No, it's C4 is just available. You can use your own stuff. But C4 is not that terrible too. But you can, for example, you can just use just Wikipedia
Yeah.
dataset.
Or
Or
the
you,
books data set.
yeah, or just the books dataset. But this, so the reason, there's one reason I use C4 is, it's kind of a search. You're creating a language model for internet.
Okay, yeah. There are arguments against, because there is like, I think weird HTML things and all of those things.
No,
which
they,
might not-
C4 removes everything.
It has been
Yeah, it's curated.
I see. So the other thing is, do you know about BitNet and like the 1-bit, 2-bit architectures? Like this one is quantized to 4-bit, I think, right?
This is pre-training. You're talking about fine-tuning.
No, I'm talking about pre-training.
Pre-trained with 1 bit?
Yeah.
No, I'm not aware of it.
It's pre-training with weights which can only take key values, -1, 0, and 1.
Okay.
And that till 7 billion is also shown very promising. So it's a slightly different architecture, but you can still follow Llama architecture and only change the layers slightly, and that still works. So I just wanted to know if you know the contrast between this and that.
So the only way I can contrast is by looking at the benchmarks.
Okay.
So I'll definitely look into it and I'll let you know. So for now maybe yeah, I have to look at the
I can
published.
show you the paper.
Oh yeah, then we can compare offline. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is really good. Already,
But even what he's suggesting is also really good.
yeah.
So I presented just one architecture. Anyway, this is like a really fast-paced research field. A lot of things are coming up. But I thought this would help a lot of audience who wanted to train.
So another thing which happens is when your weights are only -1s and 1s, you don't even have to do matrix multiplication. Everything becomes.
Yeah. It's just right.
So if your weights are 4 bits, you still have to do multiplication. But if
Right.
your weights are only -1s and +1s and 0s, then you don't have to do any matrix multiplication. It's just addition. Because if you think about the matrix multiplication operation, it's just adding or subtracting the elements in the columns and the rows together. So that can even have further opportunities for custom compute and things like those.
Sure, but I'm
It's a very interesting paper. And
Okay,
research.
I'm a little concerned with that because we are removing the representation abilities.
Yeah.
So I really have to look into it. If it performs good, then maybe that is good.
On small, like 1 billion to I think 7 billion parameter models that show that it works well. But then again, you have to fine tune and then instruct you and all of that. People haven't shown.
Yeah.
But one thing I,
Follow-up question. So
sorry.
How will the scale
Oh.
beyond 7 billion? So if I train Llama,
You can just keep on stacking up.
No.
So the only reason they stopped it, so there are scaling laws you can keep on adding and the performance increases.
wow.
So the reason the authors stopped it is because they want to fit it on 16 GB RAM. So the goal is to put it on the other. If you have 24 GB, just go with like maybe 30 billion or 70 billion parameter and keep on stacking up. And the scaling laws say that the better you stack up, the better you have. But then you're also taking a hit on inference. So you really need to, for example, 2 plus 2 can be done on a calculator, and you can check the speed, and you can go to ChatGPT, and enter 2 plus 2, it takes probably a lot of H100s. So it's a terrible application to run 2 plus 2 in ChatGPT. So it really depends on what we want to accomplish, I believe. But it's, yeah. And that. Thank you.
Now I invite Jacob or Joseph. Joseph, yeah, Joshua. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, time. Okay, great.
Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I know earlier today he mentioned there was some time available, so I emailed back, and I'm glad that I could share. Our CTO is an SF, so we haven't, and he gets off work at 6, so it's not a full time. So I wanted to share, just out of a conversation really about what we're doing. It's a time-bound model. AI is our focus with the time-bound model. This is really. This right now we're proving on an LLM. So we're running 3 GPTs in parallel, past, present, future, and we combine them. This is a demo for John, and it's for basically a VC, CEO of a VC that's making decisions and simulating the future for helping him make better decisions. So we're using currently, because we don't have a budget, we're using current LLMs, and then in the future, we'll basically go over what we're hoping to do in the future, more quantum-based, when we have the funding. So right here, I can just basically, you can play with it offline, because I don't know how much time we have. I want to get to it. But basically, this is interactive. You can even go to it, paintojoy.org. I haven't really pushed it because I'm still waiting for the grants from OpenAI, because they keep saying they're going to do it. So that's why I haven't pushed it yet. But yes, you can go in, and I want basically 3 VCs to be able to use this and have that simulation to have better returns, and then have that. And then once they give those reviews, then hopefully they can do some funding for us. So if you want to play with it, you can go to paintojoy.org in that sense. And so this overview, well, I guess if you want to even ask it, it's basically the only difference is it's just like using ChatGPT, and because I'll keep the cost down, but we can generate whatever you want. But basically taking that memory, as you know, LLM's bad at memory, so the short and long-term memory. So over the course of like 6 months to a year, you start to forget things that are actually very useful for that, portfolio, for your mistakes, for your things that you've done well. So that's the only thing that we've done is basically consolidate every month, or basically day, to consolidate what was important, what should be remembered, and then put that on the back end, and then put it back in. So you could, put in, generate the best action today for my investment. So it's basically trained, it could be anything, I just randomly, but it's trained on the back end to have that example, and then per VC, basically a 6-week process onboarding them and helping basically train that based on that. So that's the only thing different. It's basically ChatGPT plus some memory, and that's it. So what the exciting thing is, and you guys get all that, that's kind of boring, but what in the future what we're going to be doing is exciting. Ben Gertzel is our senior advisor, and he loves the time-bound model, basically going beyond what I think LLMs are kind of a dead end when it comes to AGI. So we're kind of like, what is next, and what's the next frontier? So that's what we're seeing now for this architecture. So what we're doing, and this may be fun to get into. This is just a kind of an overview for you guys. I don't know who's a quantum expert, but as we kind of get into the new frontier of decentralization and then quantum being able to kind of hack cryptography in a sense, that being able to understand this quantum temporal framework that we're seeing, that think of it in a sense like a mesh network. So that mesh network, if every individual had an AI agent, right? And so if you had that like neuroplasticity on demand, you're rewiring someone's brain in a sense in the future, being able to teach them or unlearn certain things, right? So with this, time in this sense is that that parallel. So you're running currently with the LLMs, we have 3 parallel GPTs running in parallel, right? So you have past, present, and future. But with this, since this is not constrained by the current system, the quantum, you're able to go kind of beyond that, beyond time and space. So this is what we're kind of testing out with AWS Bracket and kind of testing that and seeing that. So this is what I brought up, and I would love to, see with you guys, actually ask you, as this kind of is a new frontier. I didn't know if any of you were experts at quantum and, have dealt with anything in the past in this space. I don't know, have you guys? Yeah?
Are you proposing to train models on a quantum computer or come up with a new architecture?
It's a completely new architecture, yeah.
So the hardware is a quantum computer?
Yes, so basically we're running off at AWS Bracket, yeah.
Not the IBM?
But IBM is a little more expensive. Yeah, it's a little more. But they are doing time-bound AI models, so we could be getting like potentially some, grants. So we'll see. But that's cheaper right now.
So the idea is basically you can train faster.
Yeah, train faster and in parallel. So time is the foundation, right? So you're augmenting based on time, past, present, and future. So not just augmenting short and long-term memory, but actually kind of going beyond what the human capacity is currently.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Explain.
How do you go beyond human capacity? Like, how does the loss function look like, architecture-wise?
Well, I mean, this, we haven't really structured it yet fully, but that's where taking that quantum computer and you're going in parallel running your past, present, and future. So past pain helps predict and process future pain. So it's like, imagine us playing a chess. So in the same way AI, was able to beat a human in chess, that's the same way your memory is going to be able to do beating a human memory. So if you see the chessboard, right, and you can simulate 10 moves ahead, and now you have 1 million options, then that memory of understanding your past pain and my 37 years of history, and then simulating the future, you're just playing chess. And that AI now and quantum in parallel, running in parallel, past, present, future, now you're able to run those simulations in real time with neuroplasticity on demand, rewiring your brain in real time, where you're able to then apply what the AI would do.
I mean, RAG is sort of memory augmentation
Yeah.
for an LLM. How is this particularly different? Is it because it has 3 different pathways?
Yes. So running in parallel, yeah, exactly. So I would say that the biggest, and I think I have a section here running the test conclusion. Yeah. So basically just coming in and like the differences between LLMs and transformers in the current system. Just being able to, the temporal processing, the attention mechanisms, parameters, multimodal, causal reasoning, ethic decision, kind of even going to cognitive, quantum advantage, et cetera. So, I mean, we have, even down to the neuropsychology, we have augmenting that, like what it means to be human, and we call it pain to joy. So pain is the input, joy is the output of whatever that is that you're taking and trying to solve for X. So we believe like humanity is the baseline for what it means to augment, like defining AGI. So for governments and businesses, like every basically deck is just like, okay, what pain point are you solving, right? What problem are you solving as a business? So like if that is the case for humanity and you're just solving a pain, then everything comes down to what it means to be human is pain. So whatever you're able to do to solve those pain points, you're augmenting that and then processing it to joy or the solution. So that's why basically pain is the input, joy is the output. And so that's just solving for X in every point. So we have in terms of like individuals, collective AI, so individuals, families, business, government. So those are made subsets in that mesh within that. So each one is agent. So each individual is an AI agent. So it's trained, the data is trained on each individual. So it's on device and then cold storage. Your most, like, let's say you've sequenced your genome and you have your cancer data, et cetera. And then it'll be decentralized, quantum ready, but then the Bitcoin cloud will basically house your most valuable data that you don't want to lose in case there's an atomic bomb, right? So that's actually being able to have that, your AI agent is actually going to be customized. So you're training in real time daily. So you have the symbiosis and that recursive self-improvement. So that's all a part of the 8-dimension, it's an 8-dimension AI model. So.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're taking concepts from psychology.
Yeah.
Trying to formulate them.
Yeah, exactly.
As agents.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if any one of you have any quantum expertise after, would love to talk. So yeah, there's a lot to discuss. But if you guys want more information on the white papers, like 70 pages. But this is going to be decentralized. It's open source, so we're going to be launching it later this year. Funding and fundraising, have a lot of amazing people involved. And so if you guys want to be involved, would love to have more AI engineers.
Where we can find the architecture of quantum?
Yeah. Oh, well, this is all private, but I can send it to you. Yeah. But yeah, paintojoy.org, docs.paintojoy.org has some, and then docs.paintojoy.com is just for the VCs. But yeah, I can also send this particular, the white paper and these documents as well.
So what's decentralized about it?
Say what?
What is decentralized about it?
Well, we're going to be launching on Morpheus, so it's basically a smart contract. So it'll be aggregated, like Akash is the back end. So right now, just for the testing, there's still not a quantum decentralized ecosystem yet. So we're just still working on Bracket for AWS, but everything else is decentralized. And it'll be tokenized, so it'll be a fair launch model. And so we'll have it actually, instead of raising more money, we're doing it decentralized on Morpheus, so we raise less money. So it's distributed, and the compute power is less.
So you think the quantum hardware would be funded by people who want to effectively mine?
Potentially, yes. I mean, quantum, we're just testing out. I mean, the goal is AGI. So we're just testing out something new, because everything currently in existence is not anywhere near, in my mind, in the next 5 years, going to hit AGI. Like DeepMind, there's no plan to reach AGI. So we have to do something different. So if anything, I think quantum is just exponentially going to eventually, it's going to alter cryptography at least. And so there's something there, and I don't know what. But I do know the time-bound model is something we're looking at heavily, and whether we include a quantum or not, we're definitely focusing on the time-bound model as something that's parallel and extending our memory. So that, without quantum, that could improve humans' memory for sure.
So are you looking at some kind of like a quasi-deterministic model?
Say it again?
Are you looking at some kind of a quasi-deterministic model compared to LLMs, for instance?
Yeah, it's definitely not even, there's nothing close about the LLM model, as you can see. It's a completely different framework. Even even talk, I mean, there's some parallels to the transformers and things and being able to map like past, present, future. But there's a lot of things that are completely different about the whole structure. So I think for us, like seeing, I think it almost like a parrot kind of mimicking it. It's so smart. It is able to memorize and mimic humans, but I don't see it having a brain to be able to understand what it's saying. And so for us to be able to have a memory and to have it understand what it's saying and then augment humans in a symbiosis manner, I think that we have to kind of look beyond the current LLM structures.
So for the mesh architecture, would it require very high-level edge computing
Yeah.
power? If so, what kind of vehicles would you envision?
Well, everything, that's going to be the key, is how do we have it on device, where every AI agent's on device, and then your cold storage. So if, say, you have cancer, and you have all your sequence, your genome, and you have your cancer data, it's in your cold storage and on your device. So daily compute, your past, present, future. Present is on your device. Cold storage has all that information. That's what's going to be it's going to be to be decided how we connect to the whole ecosystem, because if we solve cancer for one, we want to update the system if they opt in to update and help everyone. And that's where, like a DAO within a DAO, where we're almost like zero knowledge proof, where we can give access to that human. And so let's say GPT-8, I don't see humanity giving their cancer data or 37 years of data to GPT-8. But if for 5 minutes they want access to help them with their cancer, then they can give it, and it's almost like a copy of it, et cetera. So how that goes from on-device to the network and then back, that's still to be determined. But the goal is privacy and the goal is security and people owning their data, but then them also being rewarded for helping the system as well.
If you're watching on Morpheus, you're training though using quantum CPUs. Does Morpheus support quantum?
No decentralized network does. That's why Bracket for AWS is our only, well, it's the cheapest option right now, and there's no real good solution. But I think in the next year it should be, and if we can make some breakthroughs with it, more funding can come into that, and then we kind of bring that along to help, I guess, spur that on.
Do you want to develop this proprietary fashion or is it open source option?
Say it again?
Do you want to develop this one as your pipeline or your vision to develop these things in a proprietary manner? Or
No, open source. So it'll be open source. So the world trusts it. So I think the only way the world is going to be able to give, if you sequence your genome and everything else, to put it on, if it's decentralized, it's on device where you trust it. And that's why, like, right now, Bitcoin Cloud is the most trusted cloud in my mind. So a layer 2. But of course, as things go, continue, there'll be more and more trusted areas. But
do you have like a working group or like an online?
a working group? Yeah, so Ben Gertzel is our lead advisor, and he's been helping. He's been busy, so traveling. So in a month, we're going to get together and kind of get basically some AI engineers together to kind of officially kick it off. And that's why, just with a few investors and actually do a token raise on Morpheus, and with a few partner, basically layer 2s, then they will help with their network. So yeah, so that's why with this, if any AI engineer wants to come and join, then it would be great. Yeah. Thank you guys.
I also like it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. AI Joy is the name of the AI model, and Painted Joy is that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's give it a round of applause.
Okay, so I have some parking validation tickets. And then if you're a first time here, let me introduce myself. My name is Achu, like a sneeze. And I organize these events on every second Thursday of the month. And I've been doing them in this Capital Factory. So thanks to Capital Factory for generously offering the venue space. But I've gotten some feedback that I have to rotate this event in other parts of the city because Austin is so massive. So I'll be organizing this in Cedar Park or Domain area or some other areas that are like a little far away from downtown as well. My day job, I'm a machine learning engineer at a self-driving technology company called Torque Robotics. We are owned by Mercedes-Benz. There's one more colleague of ours here as well. Yeah, that's about myself and what we are. Again, I want to repeat, so we are AI tinkerers, so we are not AI enthusiasts. We are actually building stuff with AI. And this is sort of like a study group outside college. So we want to give demos and talk about like these different pros and cons of different models and different innovations that are coming up. So that's our motto, and we are growing. We are a global organization. We have around 25,000 AI engineers as of now in our Discord network in various cities. We have various chapters. So this is the Austin chapter. Welcome. And yeah, so we have until 8 p.m. Initially, I wrote an email saying that we end early, but we have demos, so we have networking until 8 p.m. So, but 8 p.m. I have to kick you all out. So.
It's called AIThinkers.org, and you can add me on LinkedIn. Let me get by the way, we also have networking feature on our website, so you can actually send a, you can find everyone what they're doing today's event on LinkedIn. And you can find all of our 25,000 yeah, so I started with and I am a newbie last week.
called ChatGPT. There's also they've actually provided how is project the most successful actually works for and so the use case of these guys I don't know but you can definitely reach out
You're not, you are not like for bike
of course
okay, no, I great.
professor
Okay, all right. So you want to develop an app that understands
look up the
Join our Discord channel.
usually what OpenAI is take a picture and
So this is just see them water. Okay.
Peter really
If you sign up for it,
webvan was early like .com 2000. Webvan was the instant early 2000. So they went all the way
Again, it
was the famous medical case.
yes, it's a free advice, maybe wrong advice. That's fine. Yeah.
take care. Yeah. Thanks for checking out.
Think about this.
Essentially what they want to do is they want to
So that data explaining how it works, I make sense. I haven't experience. I've not done it. I'm not sure how it works with videos, but actually you can say videos are yeah, it's that. So,
and the reason why I bring it up is
What's the possible path? I mean, in that requires hiring somebody. And then we have to think about the relationship. We have to have somebody to get money to do that. We get money based on demos. So like for example, what we got, maybe we sit down and say, here's a demo. And based on that demo, we can try to get money and see if somebody will hire a guy who's going to do somewhere else. Exactly, or India, or yeah, don't worry about it. We'll get to that. We'll figure it out. Either or, yeah. All right. So so what's the best way for you to find out? Okay, so my name is
Yeah, I'll definitely try it. So you send me a big list. So be like you're trying like one by one. Every other weekend or something, and then the restaurants. Yeah. But it's amazing like I did like I want to be close to downtown now, all access. But my free time
try, if I can help, we'll help. If not, I'll maybe help you find somebody else. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Those are the main concerns. I mean, for other English, my daughter is very young, so we have to get into school. But yeah,
that's where my kids
up to date.
Yeah, I think Leanne is pretty like, so we are kind of doing that area process in our part, Leanne.
Ours are working there in South, so
Yeah, those are
updating
the
everything, right?
areas.
Yeah, so this is
That's the data thing. Right. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So one is talking about science, are you attributing a lot of this? If that sense, the singular thought is better, then it's a software because we as a software automatically creates cycles. We did exist before activities. It helps you maintain a organization more than so we kind of build that and the other thing about the data quality
Yeah, where you at? Where in Leander? Well, my parents are in there, Liberty. Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah. You're like, I mean, it'll take, I'll have to like really shop put it to you. They're right at Baghdad and 22. And I've had to shop put it there.
There's a lot of,
Yeah, that's a nice area. What did you say? Yeah, that's nice.
That's a real
it's predictive.
Williamson County shenanigans.
Here's your risk. Here's your risk of all.
I mean, you got that, but also there is critical aspect to it. There is also an aspect where it's something that's hard to tells you that these are all the things.
Okay. This is scary.
It's so backwards in the discipline that we are so far.
You missed all the time. I'm like,
Yeah, but this kind of these happen every second. How most like project management handle internally software. It's very different. It's very lean sort of.
You can't build a bridge like that. You can't build also a platform for we talk about
No, it's very different. I think, yeah, there's also interesting frameworks called image-driven evolution.
oh, but also, like, I'm not saying
Current way that most startups operate on this side.
yeah, I just always say free service, I appreciate you.
that's kind of what you're pushing.
He's driven came out of, I think, it was mostly creative innovators or creating a new art spectrum. You can't
imagine
back to the drawing board. It's very expensive. So the cost of failure is in the healthcare environment. So they don't have really what developed the product is that work towards solving that. So it's very interesting part. But there's parallels between how project management is startups. Yeah.
but I don't really, I mean, nobody's
So you're the sort of the because you're the
know it.
you've been a prosecutor, you've managed this all along. You saw almost build this solution for yourself in the hopes that it would translate.
Yeah, so I hated when I left the
it tells you like all the upcoming activities.
I'm going out there.
So it kind of presents the analytics in the topic. Which kind of hard. I mean, I activities that I wrote in Excel. So all that stuff is on the platform. And the other thing is I also spent my dissertation on applying to make a project, and my advisor was actually authority. So he developed statistical results, and then so that is also, I mean, the whole paradigm, so it's based innovation is literally what it is.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. My neighbor of mine, Rush Marvin, wrote a he graduated from Stanford School of Biodesign. He's also in Kelly, IU, and it turned out he was yeah, one is that the animal, but it's an acronym that stands for waste, money, or his argument is that instead of technology was used to align resources, just do all that research up front. It doesn't take organization framework, what is the actual he had a healthcare startup Rush where they developed some sort of anesthetic application for patients on mental. Right? So it's almost the same the gag reflex, delirium, things like that. They sold that startup, just scrapped the project, but in his view, during COVID, what it could have saved him was something that was that went out to framework, and I was aware of it. Reading the book. Yeah, so you guys have a brand that's kind of moving forward. You're looking for VCs and $25 subscription per month.
That's how it was. Yeah, for $1,000.
My insight is that my background
for companies in terms of enterprise support is your finding writing up sort of early wins. It's almost like give it out somebody can pilot it, and almost like social. This is actually for the same webinar of some sort, test it out. If you can, these projects are
They'll bring us back. They'll bring us back.
so it's a long cycle.
Like, okay, right.
That's right.
But, you know,
So that's the
way more. So,
I can't wait for 5 years to prove out the fact that hey, my system actually. Yeah, that's the challenge. That's the challenge. Is finding things, those moments that highlight those wins and those results.
Big bank account.
But it's a lot of it is going to be like social, all those social almost like a free man.
Trying out things that
I mean, trying to plant the seeds in framework to think about where the top needs and challenges are. How is this platform work? That might be an interesting way to frame things. Yeah, or even some of the insights that a project manager might be able to glean from the platform that the Well, good luck with everything. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Maybe I'll see you at the next meetup. Oh, please. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if this is the type of company that would benefit from our project management is all done in Asana, Jira, and all that stuff.
it's a whole different
So yeah, it's a different ballgame. But you know, it's helpful. I can put you in contact with my brother.
especially like this.
Yeah, for sure.
At the very least, I've done a lot of this.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now this verse, no. I know. I work with different people on their collaboration. Well, I mean, one of the companies I'm advising is here, but you know, my notes I'm Brandy.
You're a friend of the What's your portfolio? I'll give you direct feedback. I used to review hyper
Yeah, I don't know if you want that kind of feedback, but.
You need that feedback. You need that feedback.
That's true, that's true.
Okay, so I tell you something else. Look me up. I'll see you. And then when I go over here, I'll speak it and I can talk about this and second and third webinar, and if they're ever going to be in need, so I'm not happy. Yeah. My favorite people usually don't have problems. It's like when I was recruiting, I'm like, that means your kids down. Yeah. They're like, oh, my resume's not up to date. I'm like, I love it. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, because I don't have issues with anything exactly. I'd rather just come with me and figure this out at the very end. It's like, yeah, they don't. They so are, and everything thinks so aggressively about that. I'm like, please stop thinking that much because they're not do not do your job. We always look alive. Yeah, we're gonna be thinking about yeah. Look up your tables and project coordinator template. That's their product manager bill. I'm in. I'm aggressively trying to get out of it. I really am. Yeah. A little bit of what I usually do is like they show in front of me and then I use and I have the bandwidth and it's problematic because I where I live my head around my process they do not they're so different. Seriously, Tacova's and like Gamma, there's so many things I should get a basket for, and this is what you're gonna love it. Really well. So it's you create websites, you create documentation. your mind. What I love about them is their has been based on events, right? So like 10 or 14 different things that you didn't know about the Olympics. But they made it I'm still a little bit of library and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, these portfolios, existing, they sort of read on all the marketing, advertising, and design. So like for all the ad agencies, Dell Dell's internal ad agency, AMD,
Yeah, we are all connected.
So we all want to, you guys know retail.
That's the point. That's awesome. Pretty much it. So the company's based out of New York. I